Today I'm going to show you guys how to make Swiss meringue buttercream. It's not as sweet as American buttercream and it's nice and smooth. So I was trying these tips out. I have a video that's already up if you want to check them out, and someone suggested trying a meringue buttercream. So the recipe requires butter because it is still technically a buttercream, and I'll have the recipe down below. The quantities that I'm using here are a little bit different because I was experimenting with different things. We are also going to need some egg whites, and this one, ooh, it's a double yolk. Pretty sure that's a lucky thing. I'm actually cracking twice as many eggs as I needed for the recipe because I like halved or quartered the recipe, and then I was experimenting with Italian meringue, and like I said, it's all down below. But you're going to use a hot pan underneath your mixing bowl. So double boiler method, adding in granulated sugar, don't need powdered sugar for this recipe, and then just mixing constantly for a couple minutes until it is warm and frothy, and when you feel it, it's sticky and not grainy. So once it meets those requirements, just go ahead and take it off, and then you're going to put it straight on your electric mixer and whip it with the whisk attachment for several minutes. And during this time it's going to be cooling off, and you also want to make sure that it comes to a stiff peak. You don't want it to be dry yet, but stiff. So I feel like, you know, it's holding its shape pretty good, but not quite there yet. I'll be honest, this was my first time ever making Swiss meringue buttercream, but it turned out really well. So I decided to let it go for a little bit longer. And then you're going to add your butter in. Just turn it on and add a little bit at a time until it's all incorporated in there. The neat thing about this meringue buttercream is that not only is it beautifully creamy, but it really isn't super sweet. So if you are doing a cake and, for example, you use simple syrup to keep it moist, I'm always hesitant of that because, you know, just more sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar. But this is really more buttery. Some people say it's like an adult kind of buttercream where it doesn't have all that powdered sugar. So that is a pretty nice thing about it. I always recommend scraping down the sides of the bowl, making sure everything is incorporated well. And then I usually am pretty lazy about my vanilla, just kind of randomly putting in a splash, but I decided to try it. I had to do the actual measurements. Scraping down again, and then just mixing it, making sure it's well combined. And then I put on the paddle for a few minutes to deflate it while licking off the whisk to enjoy the tasty goodness. So just putting it here takes out a little bit of that air. And then you are good to use it. You can dye it or use it as is. And it's very cloud-like, very soft and creamy and very delicious. I always use a glass like this to fill up my pastry bags. A little tip there. And then I tried it, like I said, with those Russian cake decorating tips. It didn't work so well for one of the tips that I tried, but it did work pretty well for this tip that made these petals. So I'm still trying to figure out the right mix of things for the Russian cake decorating tips. They're tricky. You can watch that video if you're interested on kind of what I found from multiple trial and error. Anyway, like I said, this was my first time trying Swiss meringue buttercream. I will definitely be trying it again. I did also try making Italian meringue buttercream on the same day. I'll have a separate video up about that, which I prefer. And if you're interested in other frosting recipes, I have a playlist I'll link up to, where I have cream cheese, basic buttercream, eggnog, royal icing, all that great stuff. And I'll continue to add to that as I try out different recipes. Thank you so much for joining me here on Jen's Creativity Corner. I appreciate all of your support, whether it's through Patreon, thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, all that great stuff.